Get free gift cards, PayPal, and much more with feature points.
What's up guys, Commander Alex here, and today we are going to be looking at the update notes for update 1.22 coming to Vainglory, probably the day this is recorded or the day after. They announced the date for it, but I don't actually know when this is going live. But yeah, so on the 14th, they are going to be updating the game. It's about 6 hours downtime, and yeah, we should get back into the game in the fall season, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, the title of this update patch is called Update 1.22 Notes, Barren, Opals, and Autumn Season Fun. So, sounds like a lot of fun. The winds of autumn have brought change to the Hashiam fold, blah 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 blah. Okay, so getting actually into content here, we have the autumn season offers an improved daily chest. You're gonna find the daily chest actually on the season page of your Vainglory UI rather than next to where you would go and play a game. So it's more connected to the season and less connected to just playing games and getting a daily reward. So that's cool. And then there's the new season chest, which is going to be where you'll be able to unlock those really exclusive things, like the instant skin unlock if you get lucky enough, or get other cards. You get instant opals, which I'll talk about later. And basically the season chest is going to be a way that you can unlock stuff similar to how you can unlock stuff now with our season chest. The difference being the new season chest requires you to actually use keys to unlock it, and yeah, it's basically just the new season system. It's not really gameplay related, and I've already gone over it in a different video, so I'm not going to touch on it too hard, but some things to note. Opals are coming to the game. They're very rare. They can be used to actually unlock old limited edition skins again, but those limited edition skins will be recolored. They will not be the original colors, so the people who did get original skins are never going to be able to get those skins in the marketplace again with that coloration. Again, I've already made 2 videos on this, so I'm not going to go over it too much, but yeah, it's some cool stuff coming to the game, and it's going to allow players to get some skins that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to get, so good stuff. Anyway, let's go to actually stuff that matters here. No ranked skill tier reset for autumn. So basically, yeah, you don't lose, you won't get reset back down to 0, right? Like, it used to be every single season you got reset back down to 0. Your MMR stayed the same, but your visual skill tier got reset back down to beginner or whatever it's called. And yeah, it kind of sucked because everyone was like, we're not this low. I don't know why we're getting reset. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And I guess they agree with you guys. So ranked skill tier is not going to reset. You're going to keep the same tier that you went into patch 1.21 with, or rather ended patch 1.21 with. And that's where you're going to start on 1.22. No weird changes there. They are going to be introducing skill tier decay, not in this update, but in a coming future update probably very soon. And basically what that means is that if you don't play for an extended period of time in your account, you're going to slowly lose MMR and visual skill tier. So you're just going to slowly drop down. And if you don't play on your account long enough, eventually you're going to drop a considerable amount. But keep in mind, this isn't like if you don't play on your account for 2 days, you're like gonna drop a skill tier or something, right? This is like if you don't play on your account for 2 years, you're gonna drop a considerable number of skill tiers, right? Like this is over a long period of time, not like a couple days. So just keep that in mind for you guys that play even on like a semi-regular basis. Visual skill tier decay is not going to be anything to worry about. Something that is really cool though, skill tier points. They're actually going to show you your MMR number. So basically, if you guys don't know, you have what's kind of equivalent to like a points rating that represents your skill tier, right? So the higher skill tier you are, the more points you have, right? And we've never been able to actually know what that number was as far as the points. We knew that there had to be a number, and that's how they would kind of rank people and put them into different skill tiers. But we didn't know what the number cutoffs were for each of the different skill tiers. And now we do. We're actually going to get to see the skill tier points that we gain and lose from each game. So, you can go in and play 3 different matches and say you started at like 2,000 skill tier points, right? And then you played 10 matches. And by the end of those 10 matches, you were at 2010. You can say that after 10 matches, you went up 10 skill tier points. Vice versa, you could also go down 10 skill tier points, right? So like if you played 10 games and then you ended at 1990, you would have lost 10 skill tier points. And even if you won 5 games, lost 5 games, you're still probably going to have a net change in your visual skill tier points. So it's kind of a cool way for us to more accurately judge if we're actually gaining or losing progress. And it's just kind of cool overall. Anyway, moving on here, new hero Baron. I've already made a video about him. I'm going to be making a lot more videos coming up here. So, you know, if you guys are interested in Baron, just stick around. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming to my channel on him. And I'll try and link some of the videos I made on him in the description or in the comment section or somewhere so that you guys can watch those. Just a quick overview. His passive gives him a lot of extra weapon power as well as AoE weapon power. So when he hits something with an auto attack, it does AoE damage. Porcupine Martyr, he can shoot up to 2 shells at once. They recharge independently. And yeah, it's basically like a delayed explosion on the ground. So it's a lot of damage, especially with CP. It also has a slow on it. Jump jets, he can jump after a delay. Weapon power brings down the delay. CP brings up the distance that you can jump. Ion cannon is a super long delayed just AoE nuke basically. Like if you land this and you're full CP, you will like literally one-shot entire teams. But the downside is it takes freaking forever for this thing to launch, right? So it launches, it takes like a couple seconds, then it alerts the enemy team that it's about to hit, and then it goes off, right? Like, so it has probably like 3 seconds between when you actually hit the button and when it actually explodes. So it's a super long delay ability, making it very hard to hit, but it can kind of AoE nuke team, so it's pretty cool. As far as skins go, Moon Princess Celeste, already got a review out for her, and that's going to be on sale for 1,949 ice for the first 10 days. Regular price is going to be 2,600, so pretty hefty discount there actually. If you guys are looking to pick her up, I would suggest you do. It's a limited edition skin for the autumn season, so that's, you know, if you're looking to get a skin, this is going to be limited edition, so you're probably going to want to get that one first. Dear Dire Lyra is tier 3. She's going to be on sale for the same price, and regular price will be the same as this skin, but that is a tier 3, so I would focus on probably getting the limited edition first and then move on to that. And then Nether Knight Lance is a tier 2 skin, and it's going to be on sale for 1,125 ice, and regular price is going to be 1,499 ice, and that's kind of strange. This is really odd to me. Oops, I just highlighted the picture. It's really odd to me that they would put out a tier 2, right? Because, like, what about tier 1? When is that coming, right? I'm very confused about that. And same thing with Lyra. This is a tier 3. Where is tier 1 and 2? So I'm wondering, and this is just me wondering, if maybe they're going to kind of spring it on everybody. Like, this hasn't even been revealed on the PvE. We don't even see tier 1 and tier 2 Lyra or tier 1 Lance on the PvE. Like, they, as far as we know, do not exist. But I would not be surprised if Vainglory is just trying to pull a fast one over all those leakers, and they're going to end up like releasing an extra 2 Lyra skins and an extra 1 Lance skin, and just like put all these skins in the game that no one's ever seen before. I think it'd be really fun, and it would actually be a really cool time. So I'm hoping that Vainglory is actually going to have a tier 1 Lance and a tier 1 and tier 2 Lyra skin that they just haven't revealed to the public or even the private beta testers. So that'd be really cool, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did it, so definitely keep an eye out for that. As far as chests, quests, not chests, go, they have new community chests, destroy 50 turrets in 100 hours or 4.16 days. I don't know why we needed to know what the exact length of 100 hours was. Like, what? 4.16 days, good to know. Anyway, or you can destroy 100 turrets in 7 days. So yeah, that's going to be a heck of a lot of grinding there, right? Like 100 turrets at max. If you destroyed every single turret in the game, and that would basically mean that you won every game, or at least got very close to winning every game. That's 5 turrets, right? So that means that at minimum you would have to play 20 games in 7 days to get the destroy 100 turrets awards. That's a lot. Or 10 games in 100 hours, or basically like a game every 10 hours. So that's a lot of games. But I'm guessing they're going to have pretty good rewards for that. As far as hero quests go, Petal and Baron now have quests like other heroes. Good to know, I guess. Quest changes, bot quests. Based on your player feedback, we permanently removed the use glory boost quests. I don't know why. Like, like it's not hurting anybody, but whatever. Anyway, moving on here, interface improvements, stuff that actually affects your gameplay, probably a little bit more important than the quests. Phone optimized layout options. So I will make a video on this. Normally I play on an iPad, but I'll bust down my iPhone for you guys and I'll show you guys how this works. But basically, you get a change in the UI for when you're playing the game. So instead of having your actives and all your different items on the bottom left, they're going to be on the side. So if you're using your thumbs, they'll be much easier to press. And you know, it seems like a really minor thing, but let me tell you, in clutch situations, that extra distance that your fingers have to travel is actually really substantial. So I would not be surprised if this really helps a lot of competitive players who are trying to, you know, maybe get that slight little edge if they're playing with their phone. So yeah, it's cool, and it's just another option for people to play with, so it's nice. This is how you would actually end up going through. You go to settings if you're on iOS, or you would open the Vainglory app and go into settings there on Android. iOS obviously doesn't have settings in the app. You have to go through the settings app for Apple, and then you'd have to go through the Vainglory part of that. It's kind of strange, but it works. Anyway, new camera shift mode. I'm not going to play a video because I don't have that set up right now. It wouldn't actually give you guys sound. But basically, you can pan on the map a little bit, and it will pan your screen over so you're not centered on your hero. It'll actually hold there. Now, you can't just randomly hold all over the map. It just kind of leans over to one side, if you will. And again, I'll make a video kind of featuring this and showing you guys how it works. And to be honest, it's very difficult when you first start using it, right? Like if you go into a fight with your screen not centered on your hero, you're going to easily lose your hero in the fray, and you're going to get into situations where they're behind you, but then your screen's like shifting so you can't even see them. It's just, it can be a real shit show if you don't know what you're doing with it. But once you figure out what you're doing with it, it's probably one of the best ways to improve your play, right? So like if you're a skill shot based here, like Scarf, you can shift the screen over so that when you're laning, you can actually see the entire distance of your skill shot. It makes it easier to hit stuff. It doesn't actually change your vision range, but it does change where you're looking, if you will. So it's just, you know, in the right circumstances, and once you get used to it, it's probably going to be a must if you want to play at a high level. Like it improves the skill cap for Vainglory, and if you can play up to that skill cap, it's just going to make it just that much better for you. So I would really highly suggest that you put in the time to learn how to use this. It will seem really unnatural at first, but once you actually get kind of into how you're going to be using it, it's going to be really useful. All right, multi-touch controls. It's cool. I don't know how big of a change it is, but basically for things like Kestrel Ultimate or Celeste Ultimate, you currently have to select the ability, then go on the minimap, then tap where you want to fire. Now you'll be able to go on the minimap, and even if you don't have the ability selected before you hit the minimap, you can then tap on the ability and fire. So it's, you know, it doesn't require you to do the correct order for those abilities to still fire them where you want to. So it makes it, I guess, a little more forgiving if you don't know exactly what you're doing there. In the grand scheme of things, not a big deal, to be honest, but I guess in like split-second moments, it could be useful. Network troubleshooting, help text. This is like super small UI stuff. Although I never knew that turning your Bluetooth off would actually help improve your ping, so maybe I'll try that. Anyway, moving on here, new ways to invite friends. You can email them, Facebook them, tweet them, not Twitter them. I guess that's Line or WhatsApp. I don't know what that is. Or text them, you know, whatever. So basically, you know, you can invite friends to the game through the game, but through other like medias like Twitter or whatever. So that's cool, and I'm sure it'll add new players to the game, so that's always good. Moving on here, summer season rewards and reminders. You get cards for every level of your season, or your seasonal level, I guess. As long as you're level 1, you're going to get something, and then from there it just gets better and better. We don't know the exact numbers, but it's been confirmed that if you played up to level 50, you're pretty much going to get a free skin. Like, that's pretty much confirmed as kind of what I've heard. I don't know exactly how much more than that you're going to get, but that's at least the minimum I've heard. Anyway, the higher your season level, the more total cards you receive, blah, blah, blah. And you also get the new, what do they call it? New keys to unlock the new season skin. So you're going to kind of start off with some keys and stuff like that, which is really cool. Anyway, remember guild fame. I don't, or, well, I mean, I do, but I don't really care about it, so we're just going to skip over that. Another bonus payout, season chest keys. Yeah, you get an instant key, which you can use to unlock the season chest, and season chests have up to like an instant skin unlock, so that could be really, really useful, I guess, if you get lucky. I mean, obviously, it's not going to unlock an instant skin every time, but, you know, if you get lucky, it might be worth something. Anyways, we're going to move on to hero balance changes, because that's stuff that I actually care about and actually has to do with the gameplay. Like, honestly, I hate how they put all this stuff that doesn't have anything to do with actual gameplay, except for, like, camera shift and stuff like that, before hero balance changes. Like, you'd think they would put actual balance changes before stuff like that, but I guess not. So first off, Alpha, Prime Directive, the direct damage weapon ratio has been moved down from 120 to 60, so massive nerf there. Damage per stack weapon ratio up from 0 to 40%, so if you get a bunch of your core charge stacks, you're going to then deal a bunch of extra damage. So if you have 3 core charge stacks, that's an extra 120 plus the base 60, you're going to be doing 180, whereas you used to only do 120 at all. So basically, you're going to need to, at a minimum, get 2 core charge stacks to make it do the same amount of damage or more, and then 3 makes it do more damage. 1 makes it do less, 0 makes it do even more or less. So it's kind of like a wash as far as a nerf or a buff, but it's slightly a weapon power buff, I guess, as assuming that you get all your core charge stacks before you actually use it. Direct damage crystal ratio up from 90 to 200%. Holy shit, that's a lot of damage. And damage per stack crystal ratio down from 90 to 40. So, I mean, I'll be honest, that's a straight buff for CP, right? So you're going up by 110% like base crystal ratio. And, you know, even if you get 3 charges, it's not going to be that much of a nerf. So unless you're using your Prime Directive when you have 3 charges of core charge, that's a massive buff to CP Alpha. So I would actually expect to see a lot more CP Alpha just because of this buff right here. Moving on here, core charge crystal ratio up from 100 to, or from 80 to 100. Again, a CP buff. I'm expecting CP Alpha to come back in a big way. And termination protocol no longer slows you as much. It's down from 70% to 50%. Another actual buff for Alpha, right? Because one of the big issues with Alpha is it's hard to land your ultimate, but if it doesn't slow you quite as much, you're going to have a better time landing it. So overall, Alpha weapon power kind of got buffed, kind of got nerfed in different ways. CP overall got buffed, and I would expect a lot more CP Alpha. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Moving on, we got Koshka. Damage changed from 75 scaling to 400 plus 120% crystal ratio to 75 scaling to 350 plus 130% crystal ratio. So better scaling. It's going to mean that you're going to deal more damage, but it's going to have worse base damage. That being said, it starts at the same amount and it ends only 50 less. So the extra 10% scaling, I think it's pretty much a wash. It might be a little buff if you're going full CP, and it might be a little nerf if you're going not full CP. But overall, this is kind of a wash, right? Because an extra 10% scaling minus a 50% at level 5, it kind of equals out to nothing, right? Moving on here, though, empowered basic attacks. Koshka's empowered basic attacks no longer lock her in place longer than normal basic attack. Cool. Nothing crazy game-changing there, but that's cool. Makes her kind of more fluid to play. Twirly Death crystal ratio down from 100 to 80. That's really good because Twirly Death in team fights freaking wrecked. Like, it did a hell of a lot of damage. So I'm happy that they nerfed that. And fix a bug with this ability would sometimes not automatically cancel if used on a target with reflex block activated. I actually witnessed that, and it's really, really annoying. It can actually screw you in team fights, like, big time. Moving on here, though, Rona, her health has been moved up from 799 scaling to 1789 to 815 scaling to 1893. So overall, just a buff to her health. At level 1 to level 12, it's always going to be a buff there, so that's good. Into the Fray, cooldown has been changed from 17 scaling to 11 to 14 scaling to 10. Buff overall there. Blood Rage generated up from 20 to 25 scaling to 35. So Into the Fray got a pretty good buff there, as well as her health. And then Red Mist, Blood Rage requirement to activate down from 75 to 50. So overall, Rona got some nice buffs here. Nothing crazy, but she did get buffs overall. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rona comes slightly back into the meta. I'm not expecting her to just jump up to being like the strongest here in the game, but I think she'll be a little more viable now, which is good because she was pretty shit last update. Not gonna lie, she was pretty bad. Ozo, 3-ring circus, heal per hit up from 15 scaling to 55 to 15 scaling to 75. A little bit better late game scaling. Good, nothing crazy though. So again, it'll make him a little more viable, but I don't think he's going to come into the meta in any major way. Moving on here, Jule, her heavy plating perk arc increased from 90 degrees to 120 degrees. Okay, so this is actually really interesting. Jule's passive basically means that in front of her, she takes less damage than if you're hitting from behind her. Now, it used to be that it was 90 degrees in front of you. So basically, in a 90-degree cone in front of you, you would take way less damage because of your armor and shield, right? But if they hit you in any of the other 270 degrees around you, you were going to get basically shredded because you had like no armor and shield, right? Now, it's 220 degrees. So to either side, from facing center to either side, you're going to have 110 degrees of protection, and you're only going to have 140 degrees of weakness or places where you don't have that heavy plating applied, right? So directly behind you in an area of 140 degrees, you're going to not have that. So it's overall a buff, and it's not even that big of a buff at high levels, because right, at high levels, people know exactly you need to get behind Jule, that's how you're going to kill her. At low levels, though, it's a massive buff though, right? Because people don't really understand how Jule works at low levels, and so they're going to hit her from the side, and now that's actually going to be protected. So overall, this is actually a low elo buff and a high elo no real change, I would say. Although the armor and shield granted by this perk has been increased from 40 scaling to 150 to 50 scaling to 175. So obviously that's a buff at all levels, but this is more of a low elo buff and more of like a null change at high elo. So kind of interesting how they did that. So I'm actually really interested in that. Anyway, moving on here, we have Finn. His forced accord cooldown up from 60 scaling to 30 to 70 scaling to 40. So that's a buff, obviously. Cooldown refund on miss down from 0 scaling to 30 to 10 scaling to 20. Nerf again, and then no longer refunds cooldown if reflex blocked. So yeah, Finn's ult just got completely fucked. I mean, it's not a massive nerf, but it's definitely a nerf to Finn, and he's probably gonna fall out of the meta or, not be quite as viable as he was, because he was pretty high up in the meta for this patch. Not probably the best roam. I'd say Lira was the best roam this patch, but he was definitely viable. Anyway, moving on here, we have Lira. Slow on basic attack down from 70 to 135 plus 1% bonus health ratio. So for every 100 health, you get an extra 1% slow. So that means that like a crucible would give you an extra 5%. I wonder what would happen if you built 6 crucibles. That would be an extra 30% slow. Yeah, this is in all ways a nerf, right? Because even if you got the max amount of health in the game, which would be 6 crucibles, you would still have less of a slow than you would right now. So like, this is a buff, and especially for like CP Lira, this is a really big buff. For support Lira, it's not as big of a buff, but or a nerf rather. Sorry, I'm screwing up my words there. But it is definitely a nerf in all kind of iterations of Lira. Energy costs up from 12 scaling to 20 to 15 scaling to 20. An early game nerf there, late game no change. So yeah, Lyra's passive got nerfed overall, especially late game with that second bit there. Imperial Sigil energy cost changed from 65 scaling to 85 to 60 scaling to 100. So it got buffed in the early game, nerfed in the late game, no real change in the mid game. I don't know how I really feel about that. I don't really care, if we're being honest. But I guess they felt like that needed to happen. Although I guess Lira did run out of energy rather quickly in the early game, so that's probably good for support Lira. Adagio, Gift of Fire, Burst Heal, Crystal Ratio down from 45 to 30%. That's a nerf to CP Adagio, and Healing per second Crystal Ratio down from 20 to 10%. So yeah, CP Adagio kind of got gutted there, to be honest. That really sucks. His heals are now really kind of shit if you go CP, so yeah, support Adagio, I'm guessing, will still be perfectly fine because it didn't really touch him. But CP Adagio got pretty screwed there. Petal, Munyon A, dramatically improved Munyon AI. They now attack significantly faster. They, like every single update, they say Munyon AI dramatically increased. It's so much better. And like, it's better, but it's I mean, they're still stupid. They're never going to not be stupid, let's be honest. Munion's damage down from 8 scaling to 48 plus 50% crystal ratio to 6 scaling to 41 plus 40% crystal ratio. I'm guessing this is to account for the new Munion AI, which is apparently very much better. So overall, I guess that's supposed to be a wash, although I would expect this to be a slight nerf. Although I guess, if the Munion AI is actually as good as they're claiming, then maybe it is a buff. Anyway, spontaneous combustion. If Petal has a target selected, the Munion closest to her target will explode. If no target is selected, the Munion closest to Petal will explode. So I guess this makes it easier to land your spontaneous combustion, right? So, if you're not selecting anyone, it's just going to explode someone who's close to you. And if you are, it's going to explode the closest one to them, meaning that you have a greater chance of it actually landing on them. So I guess this is a slight buff to spontaneous combustion, but in all reality, this is not really like a change at all. So overall, I think Petal, no real changes, although maybe a buff if the Munion AI is actually really good. Maybe a nerf if it's actually not changed that much. So we'll have to see how that worked out. Sky, her target lock, base range where a lock could be applied up from 8 to 8.5. Massive change, not really. Additional lock range from leveling death from above down from 2 scaling to 6 to 1.5 scaling to 4.5. So yeah, that's a nerf, right? So I guess technically at level 1 through 5, this is a buff. At level 6, this is a null, like it doesn't have any effect. And at levels beyond that, it's actually a nerf. So yeah, I guess slight buff to the early game and a nerf to the late game. Mid game didn't really get touched though. So there you guys go. Her target lock kind of got screwed in the late game though, because it's like, think about that. You now have a 13 range where you can lock, when it used to be a 14 range. So that's a slight nerf, I guess. Anyway, it doesn't really matter that much, but I guess it's a slight nerf late game, slight buff early game. Cherry Strike cooldown up from 13 scaling to 5.5 to 14 scaling to 6. So yeah, that's a nerf. Sky overall got nerfed, I would say, because her early game probably didn't get affected at all, because this kind of balances out her early game extra range. And then late game, she got nerfed in both regards. So yeah, not great for Sky. She kind of got screwed. Anyway, Lance, Impale, root duration crystal ratio up from 0.001 to 0.0015. That is to say, for every 100 crystal, you get an additional 0.15 second root. So technically, that's a 50% root crystal ratio bonus. I don't know how much it's going to really matter, because no one really builds CP on Lance, but maybe this will kind of bring it back into the meta. We'll see. It might be good. And the Sun Duration crystal ratio up from 0.2% to 0.3%. Another little CP buff there. So I guess maybe they're trying to bring CP Lance back into the meta. We'll see. Maybe CP Lance will make an appearance again. I'll try and make a game plan on it when he comes out. Give him a try. Celeste Core Collapse. Cooldown down from 16 scaling to 10 to 14 scaling to 9. So Celeste got a nice buff there. Her Core Collapse is going to be on a much shorter cooldown. This will be especially useful in team fights, right? Because it's an AoE stun that's on a reasonably short cooldown at level 5. So like you get a 9-second cooldown on it at once it's leveled up all the way, right? And most high elo players actually max her A and B and leave her C at only 3 levels. It used to be that you max your C, but then people realized that extra cooldown drop was actually very worthwhile, especially when you're getting jumped on by like freaking Taka or something, right? So you bring it down to 9 seconds, plus, you could probably get up to 100% cooldown reduction, so then you're looking at like a 4.5 second AoE stun, which is pretty substantial. So yeah, Celeste got pretty reasonably buffed there. Moving on here, we have the Stormguard banner damage up from 25 to 75 to 30 to 80. So slight buff, but I mean, that doesn't really matter. And the damage from Storm Crown up from 50 scaling to 150 to 60 scaling to 160. Editor's notes. The Stormguard banner and Storm Crown changes were locked prior to the North American Summer Lab Championships, and the introduction of the Tension Crown build. We'll keep an eye on it, and if any changes are necessary, we'll adjust in update 1.23. Oh, that's actually, yeah, I guess I didn't really think about this. For you guys that don't know, Storm Crown plus Tension Bow was really freaking annoying. Like, it was pretty good on Taka as well as Lance, and basically the idea was it gave you a lot of burst and it also gave you a lot of sustained damage, right? Because you couldn't really counter build it, right? Like, you can't counter build true damage. So it was just really, really annoying, and it did very well at live finals. But this could actually, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a massive buff, but it might be a slight buff. We'll see if that actually comes into effect and becomes really bad. Clockwork, crystal amplification up from 25% to 30%. That means that I gotta start making some more troll builds, right, guys? Because with 30%, we're going to be doing some real damage. Because 5 Shatter Glasses is equal to, let me do the math in my head, 300, 600, 750, 750 times 1.3 is equal to, I don't know if I can do this in my head, 90, 180, and 195 plus 750 is going to equal well over 1,000. I think we might be able to reach 1,050, I believe. I think, well, actually with Infusion, yeah, we should be able to reach over 1,050, I believe. So that would be pretty impressive damage. We'll have to actually do the math on that and do some troll builds, but I'm guessing the Clockwork change is going to bring it nicely into the meta. It was kind of in the meta last patch, but I'm guessing it's going to be kind of a core item for a lot of builds now. iPhone updates, Vainglory is no longer compatible with 6.1. If you're still using 6.1, just get a new phone. Come on, man. Just get a new phone. For players who are on iPhone 5, not 5S, and upgrade to iOS 10, the game will currently crash you. We are working to resolve this. So yeah, don't do that. I'm assuming they'll get that resolved pretty quick though, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. Fix a bug where gold trickle experience, trickle health regeneration, and energy regeneration was happening every 1.1 seconds instead of every 1 second. What a change. What just massive game-changing bug fixes there. Remove text from the Samuel's Corrupted Genius perk description that incorrected identity indicated that incorrected? I don't think that's what they meant to say. That incorrectly indicated that there was a crystal ratio on the damage. Fixed a bug where Saw could cancel another Saw's roadie run. Fixed a bug where jungle monsters would follow invisible targets. Fixed a bug where Taka would continue attacking after activating Kaku, which would immediately end his Kaku. Yeah, that's happened to me more than once. Fixed a bug where an existing Lira arcane passage could be reused immediately if another instance of arcane passage was cast. Huh. That's actually very interesting. So with 2 Lyras in the game, you would have some weird shit going on. That's actually kind of interesting. I never realized that, but that would actually be quite changing. Fix a bug where Lyra's Bright Bulwark did not prevent enemies from entering her portal for its full duration. Fix a bug where Ozo could not activate Aero Bounce on minions in Battle Royale. Okay. It's a Battle Royale change for Ozo for his Aero Bounce on minions. Like, that's just about as unconsequential to Vainglory as it gets right there. Fix the bug where Alpha could regenerate while having Terminate Protocol activated. Can no longer buy minion candy with a full inventory. Okay. Rhyme's Frostguard perk description now actively describes its functionality. And Glazed Afterburn description now mentions its stun. Okay, yeah. So most of these not really consequential. I guess this is a slight like regeneration sustain kind of buff to some heroes, right? Because you now get it every 1 second instead of 1.1, so that's the only real thing to note there. And yeah, that's about it. So hopefully you guys are going to be looking forward to this update. I know I am. There's a lot of changes coming as far as heroes and items go, and there's a ton of changes coming as far as non-gameplay related stuff, that is to the season system, to the UI, and to, you know, the stuff surrounding the game that actually isn't affecting you in game. So yeah, I'm really excited about this update. Should be a lot of fun, and that's all I got for you guys for this video. Gonna be back with another Baron gameplay either tonight or tomorrow. And yep, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.